One very efficient way of breaking free from this time for money trap or this general lack of income that many experts tell me they experience is to create additional income streams out of what you already do and what you already know by creating an online course. This could be as much as 6 figures and can be truly transformational to your life and your business. I'm Michael Brook, and in this clip from Business Connections Live, I explain how you can design that course by following what is essentially a very simple step-by-step process. Now, stick around to the end because I've got an offer for you that will help you create and design that online course even easier.
All right, now, I suppose it's a bit like your classic internet webinar, what's happened today.
Yeah.
We've teased them in. We've told them the advantages. We've told them the kind of things they need to do at the beginning. What about when it comes to designing the course? How do you structure it, sequence, systemize your system?
Yeah.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty then of putting something together. Let's just give a few hints and tips around that. We've done the day with you.
Yeah.
And we've identified that what we want to get out of it and who's it for.
Yep.
We've mind mapped it all, and we can see the kind of, we're beginning to start to see the structure.
Yeah.
Is that where we start now? Do we start to structure it down into lessons? How do we systemize this to make this a successful online course?
The first thing we need to realise is what we're taking people on, our audience, our customers, we're taking them on a journey. We're taking them on the journey from point A, where they don't know what they need to know in order to succeed, and we're taking them to point B, which is where they will have learned what we're teaching them, and they will be able to go off and use that confidently and successfully. And between point A and point B, there's a gap. And it's our job as training consultants, as coaches and trainers, whatever we're doing, to bridge that gap. And it's no different really with an online course. So what we do is we look at the gap and we look at the milestones in between point A and point B, and we find what are the big milestones that we need to create in order to bridge that gap. Now, what we call those are modules. They become the modules of your training course. So we start with the surface structure, we chunk down into the modules, and then we take a module and we say, right, in order for that module to work, so in module 1, we could say, in our case, module 1 might be the concept. So how many lessons do we have to teach people in order to make that module work? So we then structure each lesson, and we look at each lesson from top to bottom. What's the starting point? Point A, where they don't know anything. Get them to point B, and we have to bridge the gap. So we're constantly chunking down till we get to more and more detail. And that's why these courses end up being really granular and really detailed and complex. Because we have to take from the surface structure down into the modules, from the modules down into the lessons, from the lessons down into the key points that have to be made in each lesson in order for each bit to work.
But this is actual skills that they will already have. They're probably already doing this, but they're doing it subliminally, aren't they? They're doing it. They're not realising they're doing it. It's the old thing about tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them again, isn't it? To a certain extent, but with more detail on the individual segments within it.
Yes, but it's more than that, because when we do what we do, and we're with an audience, we often see the audience's confusion before they recognise they're confused, because we're picking up little cues, little facial cues that tell us that this isn't working, what we're saying isn't working, and we need to change tack, and we need to...
The feedback, effectively.
Yeah, it's feedback, but they're not aware they're giving you feedback often. So we see all that sort of thing, and we act accordingly. The idea and the concept of an online course is you are never there. Mm-hmm. So you've got to make sure that every bit works, and those moments of confusion never occur. Well, that's why the structure, systematization and sequencing is so important.
You see, it's very interesting because, my background in retail, shopping, television and radio, but direct response TV is selling. There's no two ways about it. It's selling. But the difference is the recipient the person you're selling to isn't there. So what you're doing, you are identifying their pain points. So
Exactly.
you often would say in a sell, because people think that people just go on the telly and talk from the top of their heads. The sell is actually very well structured. In many respects, if you were working for somebody like QVC or the home shopping networks, the sell is divided into 6 individual segments with 6 individual calls to action and things like people don't realise they're being sold to. But what you are doing, you are highlighting their objections. You may say, well, you may be thinking it won't fit into your room.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, it will fit into your room. It's those little cues that you would use. And it sounds like we're doing exactly the same when we're putting it into our training modules as well.
It is, because before the design phase, we've got the concept phase, and we said that there's 4 points really. There's there's the purpose, there's the people, there's the position that you're going to take or the style that you're going to use, and there's their pain points. And unless you explore those in a lot of detail, and it's a bit like spin selling, you start with the pain, and then you look at the consequences of the pain, and then you build on that. So we need to get into that mindset so that and it's not that we're trying to do anything untoward. What we're trying to do is really thoroughly understand all the frustrations and problems that your audience has got so we can bridge the gap.
Do you think that systemization is sometimes a bit, the fact that we're getting it in the right sequence, making certain that each of the individual components have actually got a sequence that you're taking them through as well. Yeah. Do people find that difficult sometimes to get in their head? Because we mentioned outside before we came on the programme today that when you're doing a live one-to-one or one-to-many training course in the flesh, you've got the tangents that you go off on, you reinforce with stories, you do all those, you give examples, you do all those kind of things. Yeah. And is it systematically working your way through what you say normally to find those supporting pieces of evidence as well?
It is, and it's what you do on your best day.
Yeah, so because nobody ever... Yeah, you don't always have best days.
No, you don't always do your best. But the beauty of an online training course is it can be perfect. Because you can make sure that not only is everything in there, it's all in there in the right order, it's all in the right sequence, and you can step back and you can edit out the bits that don't work and make sure that you put in the bits that you've missed. So actually an online course can be better than the live presentation. But unfortunately, a lot of people think because they're not live and they're not present, it's going to be less valuable. Well, actually, it's more valuable.
Because you're getting the very best of the best.
You're getting the very best.
So if you'd like to create additional income streams from essentially what you already do and what you already know, I'd like to offer you the chance of a structured coaching call with me where I'll help you to identify exactly what that course should be and how you can start that design process so that you make a really effective, high profit online course. All you have to do is go to meocall.uk and you can book yourself a call with me that's absolutely free. But by going to meocall.uk, you can book yourself straight into my diary and we'll arrange a structured coaching call while I'll help you to identify exactly what your course should be and how you can go about designing that course. So I look forward to speaking to you soon, and just go to meocall.uk and book yourself some time with me.